Picture this. It's, say, 2 in the morning. You are the only person awake for miles around. The world outside is dead silent, and the only thing you can hear is the low, quiet hum of a machine nearby. Welcome to the world of the night shift, a place where the normal rules of the day just kind of fade away, leaving something else behind. Someone actually said this to a lone gas station attendant, and wow, it just cuts right to the heart of what makes night shift horror so effective. See, it's not really about monsters or ghosts. It's about a much more human fear, that deep, unsettling vulnerability that only comes with being completely, totally isolated. Okay, so let's really dive into this. What is it about these quiet, lonely hours that lets that feeling of dread creep in so effectively? In this explainer, we're going to deconstruct that fear. We're going to break it down by looking at several true stories, terrifying encounters that all happened long after the sun went down. You see, the night shift, it kind of creates its own reality. There are fewer people, which means fewer witnesses, and there's this lingering sense that you are completely and utterly on your own. This solitude, this quiet, is the perfect fertile ground where a little bit of unease can take root and just grow into something so much worse. So, our main story here kicks off, as these things so often do, with something completely mundane. A small hotel, a late check-in, everything is normal, routine, even boring, right up until the moment it isn't. We're calling this one the Phantom Guest. And it's just a perfect example of how a situation can slowly unravel, turning a quiet night at work into a 5-hour ordeal of escalating, heart-pounding dread. And right here, this is the first red flag, the first sign that something is seriously wrong. It's not aggressive, right? It's not loud, but it is deeply strange. This one simple, bizarre act of just staring at nothing, it immediately separates him from a normal guest and introduces that first thin thread of suspense. So, an hour or so later, the clerk checks the system. He finds nothing. Absolutely nothing. 0 check-in logs. It's like the man who walked in doesn't actually exist. Okay, so next he checks the payment system. And again, you guessed it, nothing. The credit card he used, it left 0 trace of any transaction. And here it is, the final, really chilling piece of the puzzle. 0 keycard entries for his supposed room, room 214. He never even tried to go there. This man wasn't a guest. He was an intruder, just hiding in plain sight. When you lay it all out like this, you can really see the slow burn of this terror. I mean, it starts with simple deception, right? Then it moves to this aimless, creepy wandering. And then it escalates to something genuinely threatening, targeting another guest's room. For 5 straight hours, that clerk was locked in a building with a man whose purpose was a complete and absolutely terrifying mystery. So yeah, that story is terrifying. But why? What are the psychological buttons that it's pushing so effectively? Let's break down the 2 key elements that make these kinds of encounters so profoundly unsettling. First up, we have this archetype we can call the Watcher. Now, this isn't just about being seen. Oh no. It's that creepy-crawly feeling of being studied, being analyzed, being targeted. The Watcher's power comes from their stillness, from their silence, because it forces the victim to imagine the absolute worst possible intentions. And you see this archetype pop up in all the stories. The phantom guest, just silently observing the lobby. A man named Paul, sitting in the dark, watching at gas station attendants' every single move. 2 coordinated cars staking out another station. And maybe the most terrifying of all, someone hiding just a few feet away from you, watching from underneath a desk. All right, the second big piece of the puzzle is what we'll call the boundary crosser. Society, it runs on a whole set of unwritten rules. You don't stand too close, you don't stare, you don't invade someone's personal space or knowledge. These antagonists, they gain all their power by deliberately and gleefully shattering those rules. This quote, wow, it's so simple, but it is absolutely terrifying. When the stalker Paul calls the attendant Meredith by her name, even though she wasn't wearing a name tag, he's sending a crystal clear message. I know things about you that I shouldn't know. I have crossed a boundary right into your private life. And this pattern is everywhere once you look for it. Faking a check-in, that's crossing a physical boundary. Knowing the specific way someone writes their letters,
That's crossing a deeply intimate one. Leaving a photo of someone that was taken in secret is a profound violation. And a hand reaching up from a hiding spot just inches away from you, that is the ultimate, terrifying shattering of your personal space.
So, what you start to realize is that these aren't just isolated creeps acting randomly. Their actions, they actually follow distinct patterns. And by comparing their methods, we can see the different ways they go about establishing control and inspiring fear. What's so crucial here is seeing how their methods differ. The hotel man uses deception. Paul uses this invasive knowledge to get psychological control. The Cars, they use a coordinated, menacing presence. And the desk hider uses pure stealth and surprise. But what's truly terrifying, the thing that gets you, is that for most of them, their ultimate goal remains completely unknown. So why? Why do these specific stories stick with us so much? It's because they don't just scare us with what did happen. They scare us with what could have happened. They tap into something really fundamental inside all of us. The true horror here, the thing that really gets under your skin, is the breakdown of predictability. We all move through the world assuming that other people will follow a basic script of behavior. These stories show us just how fragile that script really is. The moment someone decides to just ignore the rules, we are left completely exposed, totally isolated, and with no idea what's coming next. And that leaves us with one final pretty unsettling question. You know, in every single one of these stories, the victim felt that deep, instinctual unease long before the situation became truly dangerous. That gut feeling we all get, that's our internal alarm system, and it's screaming that a social boundary has been crossed. The most haunting question of all might just be, when that alarm goes off inside your head, how seriously do you take it?